Hi, Janine here again. So, this is the first, after the intro, this is my first video, and I wanted to go into history for my TMJD, um, a little bit into that aspect. Now, everybody's TMJ is different. It could be it could be a muscular, it could be um, more to do with the bones and muscles. Um, could be from accidents. It can be from clenching, all stress, all sorts of things. So when I'm saying that I have TMJD, I have a degenerative disease in arthritis in my joints. My joints have eroded and I have spurs and my discs are displaced. Um, so there's a lot going on in there. But I wanted to go into the history of how I came about this and what happened. So when I was 7, I got in a bad accident where I was on a bicycle and I was going very fast and I ran into a station wagon. Now, this was in the 70s where station wagons were large and made of real metal, very strong. So I hit it with my face, knocked myself out. I don't remember any of that. The owner of the car picked me up and carried me home, which was probably not the greatest idea, but I woke up and I had a lot of facial injuries. I had my face was scraped up, my eye was swollen shut, my teeth were knocked back, scrapes. I was in a bathing suit, so I had scrapes all over my body, and I was in pretty bad shape. I was taken to the hospital, nothing, they didn't find anything. I was taken to an orthodontist. They put some braces on my teeth because my teeth were knocked back and knocked loose. So they put them back to where they were supposed to be and buttoned me up. And then in my teens, probably about 12, I started going to a chiropractor. Um, and I started having some clicking, and when I opened my mouth, um, in it at that time, my jaw would tire, like when I would eat meats and stuff like that, and chewing gum. So more like 12, 15, 16, 18. Those were things that were going on, pretty minor, where they did see changes and they did know that I had something wrong in there, but they didn't give me any solutions. And it was just, well, you're young, you're gonna have problems when you're older, was kind of the answer that I got at that time. So my teeth were straight and everything was pretty good. And in my 30s, I still had more problems. My neck was weak, and I just always had limitations. I'd grown up with limitations. I'd grown up not knowing that I couldn't eat a lot of meat, and or the times it would get tired, or my neck would hurt. I've been going to a chiropractor since I was 12 years old. So I had issues. I had issues all my life with my jaw and my neck and my back. Um, my back issues pretty much seem to have cleared up, whereas I need an adjustment every now and then, but it's nothing real severe. Now I have my bone in my jaw is deteriorated, in the joint itself. And also my neck has got osteoarthritis, and I've got some issues with my neck, forward positioned neck, or military neck as sometimes they call it. So I've got a lot of upper. But that's also to be expected when you have really bad neck issues. Sometimes you have jaw issues. When you have jaw issues, you have neck issues. So that's kind of all normal, I guess you'd say, if you have this kind of problem. then then I had a lot of allergies and congestion, and I couldn't breathe through my nose anymore, which I'd always had problems since I was a young child, they took my tonsils out, my adenoids, but I had always had some troubles breathing through my nose and allergies really bad. So I found an ENT, and they did a deviated septum. I had deviated septum, and they straightened that out, which helped a ton with being able to breathe. And they also went in and they reduced my turbines, which all opened up my nose airway. Now, this was in my early 40s that I had this done. I had lived all my life being a lot of times a mouth breather because I couldn't breathe for my whole life. This is something, and probably didn't help with my TMJ because I was holding my mouth open a lot. Then I had always snored some, but my snoring got worse and worse and worse as I got older. What I have found and what I believe is that my jaw, because my especially my joints in my jaw have deteriorated, my lower jaw has protruded back or gone back, reduced back into my throat, and so my snoring has gotten worse, especially if I lay on my back. When I have a mouth guard in or something of that nature, it's a lot better, which it holds my mouth open or holds my jaw away so it can't fall back as far. So the snoring still continues. I had a sleep study done. They didn't find much, but I didn't really sleep much, so I don't know how accurate that was. I was getting headaches a lot. I've always gotten headaches a lot, more than I think the average person. Found out that I had migraines. I found that out in probably my late 30s that I had migraines, but I'd get them every now and then. It wasn't a real often thing. I wasn't on any medication for it. I would just take some Excedrin PM and go to bed, or some Excedrin, go to bed or lay down and wait for it to pass. So it was pretty mild for migraine sufferer, being that I only had it every so often. Then in about 2012 to 2014, my migraines started getting really, really bad. My headaches and my jaw and my neck pain really, really bad. I was sitting. I was sitting a lot. I work at a desk. I work from home, thank God. But I work at a desk all day long, and it was tough just to make it through the day. I was taking 4 ibuprofen 3 to 4 times a day. And then I only got 9 medications for the migraines, and I would use those up every month. I would use them sparingly because I didn't want to use them up in the first 2 weeks, but I would use up all of them. Nauseous, and it would put me in bed early every night. And before that, I was active, I was hiking, I was in shape, I was, doing really well. I even tried walking and hiking and stuff in the middle of the day, which I had a little better of a luck doing it in the middle of the day, because by the end of the day my headache and the pain in my from either headache or my jaw and neck and would trigger a migraine. I was just in really bad shape. At that point, I started seeking help for the migraines and finally got a neurologist and they put me on, they tried all these different medications. They tried, pills and this and that. Nothing worked. Nothing sat well with me. I don't, I have side effects from pills a lot of the times. I'm like, okay, this isn't worth it. I can't take these pills. So, I finally got approved for Botox for migraines. It's all through insurance. So I do that as well. Right before that, I started seeing an LVI dentist, and I got a mouth guard from them, and that helped. That helped a lot. I mean, it's not like my pain went from a 10 to a 2. It reduced the severities of my headaches and pain probably about maybe 50%, maybe a little less than that. There was a reduction, but it wasn't everything. I mean, I was still having pain. I was still having problems. So then I did go and start doing the Botox, because still it wasn't, even with the LVI, it wasn't enough. Come to find out later, there's other reasons why. I'm going to go into that on another video. I'll go into the different mouth guards I've had, the LVI, and some of those other things. So I'll go into all of that. So I started getting the Botox. I get Botox for migraines. So I get it all around here. I get it up in here. I get it. There's like 4 shots in the temporal area. He also does one in the masseter. And this last time I had him do one, there's other small muscles right in front of your ears. So I had him do, because my right side is my worst side, so I had him do some in there, because I've got so much pain coming in the muscles, coming through all through here, and then they trigger muscles down here that I've got pain in. But then he does some in the back of my neck and my traps. And I have some shots done in the top of my head. I have really thick hair, even though it's short. I like to put it up sometimes, and that helps with the headaches, and it helps with the muscle jaw pain that causes headaches. So it doesn't, if you have TMJ, which is muscle related, I could see where that would help. But and even with TMJ, with joint issues like I have, it helps. It helps a great deal. I mean, it helps a lot for me. Some people say that they've done it and they haven't used it, or haven't had much success. I get something like 40 shots. I think it was like 200 cc's, which your typical, when you go in to have your forehead done or whatever, it's like 20, maybe 20 cc's that you get done, and that's what does all up in here. So I get 200. It's a lot. I would like to get off of it, because it is a toxin that you're putting in your body, and there's other side effects, and there's other things go along with it. But the quality of life from what it was before, is huge. Then I'm looking at notes. as to some of the things that happened. So then I had my first CT scan in 2016, which the LVI dentist had done, and he showed me the differences. I didn't really understand a lot of it, but I knew that my condyles had beaked, and there was a couple other things, and some osteoarthritis in both my neck, and I had arthritis in my jaw. In 2018, I had another CT scan. I went to a different TMJ specialist. So this was 2 years later. My dog had chewed on my mouthpiece, so I went to another TMJ specialist through my insurance because I paid a lot on the LVI. So he had another CT scan done, which showed additional changes and some other issues that were in there. Possibly that the disc was displaced and some other stuff. But right after that, we moved. So when we moved, I found in our new location that I found a new specialist, a TMJ guy, and he sent me in for an MRI. And during this time, I had a really, really bad flare up where my face just, it's swollen, it was sore, it was, I was in hot packs and all sorts of stuff. So it was, I had really bad. So he got the MRI, and after that, they said, or the MRI showed that the discs were displaced and were returning back into their normal spot, which is why I can't open my mouth very wide. The changes, I still had active arthritis. There was more changes. There's a spur or spurs, I'm not really sure, one or how many in my right. And I'm basically, I'm bone on bone all the time, which, as you can imagine, isn't always so comfortable. I hear grinding, and you get these shooting, like nerve pains that just go out everywhere and go down this way and go back. And I've got the fullness in the ears. My ears feel plugged and sore, especially my right, sometimes in my left. It's not as bad. My left side isn't quite as bad as my right. My right side it's shaped kind of a dipped and around, and it's kind of really funky shape, so it gives me the most trouble. So my TMJ specialist sent me to an oral an oral maxillofacial surgeon that he worked with locally, and I went and saw him, and he wanted to do the disc arthroplasty or whatever, where they put the two tubes in or needles in and wash out the disc or wash out the joint, and put some lidocaine in there to kind of help numb it. He said eventually I'll need a joint replacement. My thought was, okay, well, why not do a joint replacement if that's what I need? Why start with this? I've done a lot of research on all the procedures, so I kind of knew some questions to ask. I'll do another video and go over those procedures and what were my concerns. After him, I had also, at the same time I made the appointment to him, because it took a month to get into his office, I called the joint company or emailed the joint company that my insurance authorized. So my insurance authorizes 2 or 3 different joint companies. I called or emailed those companies. One was out of business, another one didn't have the greatest of reviews or responses. So I went to the one that I had heard the best things about, which is the TMJ Concepts. And I asked them, in my area, who does the most of your jaw joints? Does this doctor do use your jaw joints? Who does the most in my area? And they actually called me, and she says, well, in your area, not, it would have been this doctor, but over in Seattle, which is a 5-hour, 6-hour drive from me, he does a lot of them, and he's our go-to guy. Where he does a lot of these, which is what I wanted. If I was going to have to go that route, which at this point I didn't know. I didn't know if they were going to just do a disc removal, or if it was more severe. I had no idea. So I was told that it wasn't going to be as severe, but I wanted to go the extreme route and find out if the doctor who does joint replacements say I don't need one, or I don't need one yet, and he does a lot of them, he sees a lot of these cases. I wanted him to tell me this and what his suggestion would be as to the best way to do this. The doctor that I had locally is not in my network, so there's a big cost difference too. Do I go 6 hours to somebody who may do a different procedure? But anyhow, so I made an appointment and a consultation with him as well. So my first doctor wanted to do the washing out, and then possibly a disc removal, and then eventually joint replacement. So that's 3 surgeries at least. I'm 49 years old. I don't want to go through 3 surgeries on my face. Wasn't too happy about that. I'd rather almost do nothing until I just need the joint replacement. So I went to see this other doctor, Dr. Bobek in Seattle, Washington. And when I first sat down with him, when we sat there, and he says, well, after exam, looking at my teeth, looking at my jaw, looking at my scans, because I sent him over the MRI and the CT scans and everything, he says, he had admitted, he said, well, when I first came in here, I was thinking I was going to suggest something else, but after looking at all of this and looking at you and talking with you, I think you'd actually do better with having a joint replacement. Because I went over some of these things with him, being my age, being that each procedure you have is more difficult on your body, and scar tissue and complications and all that. So for me, I wanted to go through the least amount of surgeries possible, whether that was a disc and then years down the line do a joint replacement, or do the joint replacement now. I've not heard good things about washing the joint out, and I really didn't want to go through that. So that I wasn't happy that was the other doctor's first go-to. So with what I have and how what I want to achieve, I want to be able to open my mouth. That is not going to happen with washing out the joints. It would probably happen with removing the discs. I'd be able to open my mouth again. I'm limited now. And the pain, I want to get off. I don't want to do the Botox forever, which kind of might be nice because, I don't have any wrinkles up here right now. So I probably still have to do it for migraines, but, I'd like to eventually not put as much toxins into my body like that. For now, right now, my mouth opening is 20 to 25 millimeters. It's about maybe 2 fingers. I can fit 2 fingers in. That's about my max. Sometimes it's less. My jaw falls back, so I have 4 millimeter overjet. And not next week, but the week after, I get braces to prepare me for the jaw surgery. I'll have braces for a year, and we're projecting that I have the joint replacement done next summer. So 49 years old getting braces. This is not going to be fun. So I'll end with showing my teeth. That's my normal bite. If I bite down, they don't quite come together real nice. They're crooked. I don't have a real bad overbite, just a little bit. I do have a little bit of an open bite where, see, I can stick my tongue through my teeth. This might get worse with braces. I might be seeing a big difference, but the reason why they do the braces first is to get everything in line, so when they do the jaw joint, the teeth can come together where they're supposed to be. Because I'm now where my teeth are, I do chew like this a little bit, but especially when I start getting tired and or I can't chew something if it's a little too chewy, I do that action. I do the grinding side to side, which I think that's why I've had a dentist before say, you must grind your teeth. I don't think I clench or grind, really. I mean, at night, I never find myself waking up where it's really sore or that I catch myself clenching or grinding. I did once when I was a kid. I was dreaming that I was eating a steak, and I remember thinking, gosh, a steak tastes like chalk. I was grinding my teeth, and I woke up grinding my teeth, and I knew I was grinding my teeth. So that was the only time, but I've never really had, I don't think, an issue. What I think is that my eating, doing the grinding, might look like I'm grinding my teeth, but I'm not. I find, though, that with my mouthpieces in, which I'm going to go over with my mouthpieces, that I clench more on the mouthpieces. I hold on to them because I'm like trying to bite them, like hold. I do better, I think, without the mouthpieces or something in my mouth to chew on. So, gosh, this ran a lot longer. I'm going to try to cut this down. I might even try to do this into 2 videos. But that is a lot of history as to why I am where I am right now. If you have any questions, you can put them below.